Afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on your geographical situation. My name is Jerry. Welcome to my channel. On this channel, we talked about immigrants, how to strengthen immigrant, how to build their financial capabilities so they could become stronger in the country where they live. And today we're going to talk about a very interesting subject because usually after some few years in the country, in their country of residence, immigrants look to start a business back home. They want to start a business in their country of origin. They live abroad. They don't know how to do. They have no idea. Then if you're looking into something to invest, how to do it, what are the steps, how much do you need, then stay tuned because I'm going to share with you the step-by-step of all the steps that you need to know to start a new business. Talk to you later after the generic. Bye. Again, so the business model that we're going to talk about today is the daycare business. The daycare business. So you living abroad, something that you may want to start in your country of origin is to start a daycare business. Now, why a daycare business first? Why a daycare business? Simply because, first of all, it's something in need, in demand. It's in growing demand because usually back home in developing nations, people used to put their children, anywhere, give them to siblings, to relatives, while they are going to work. But nowadays, mentalities are changing, and then people also want their children to be in a more secure environment while they are going to their work. So it's a business in a growing demand. The second reason is that people don't put their children in a daycare simply because they want someone to keep them, but they actually want their children to learn something while they are being taken care of. So we have observed that a lot of young mom, a lot of young ladies, they rather go and put their children in a daycare instead of give him or her to their relative as we used to do in the past. Now, if you're looking to start your daycare business, here are 10 steps that you need to follow carefully to successfully start and implement your daycare business from abroad. First thing first that I recommend is an explanatory visit. Guys, you have been living abroad for many years. There may be some country context knowledge that you don't have anymore. So it may be worth it to take a trip, go back home after all those years, try to understand the new environment, the new mindset of people living back home. Because if you are starting a business on a distant basis, you probably won't be the person managing it on a day-to-day basis. You'll probably be relying on people. You'll probably be relying on the system, on the local law. So it may worth it to take a 1 week, 2 weeks trip to go in the country where you want to start your business and get to know people and get to understand their mindset and get to understand their way of thinking, their way of living. It's highly recommended to start by that step. It will cost you, depending on where you live, something around $3,000, $5,000 US dollars to do your explanatory visit, but it will provide you very, very, very useful information regarding the country context, the mentality, the way of living, the cost of living, and the initial market survey. Building initial contact, getting to know how the system works, what are the requirements in that country to start a daycare, what are the lawful requirements, what are the pedagogical requirements. So definitely go there, spend a week, spend 2 weeks, visit the other existing daycare, talk to people, go to the department in charge of the daycare, look at the documentation that you will need to provide to get your permit to open your daycare. So after the explanatory visit, the second step will be to prepare or to write your business plan. On this business, I highly recommend preparing a business plan. It doesn't have to be a complex document. It doesn't have to be a 100-page document, but I'm talking about something 5 to 10 page maximum. At least have something in writing of where you are going exactly, what are the steps, how much you probably need. After your explanatory visit, you have an idea of the costing of your project. So the second step, as I said, is to prepare a written plan, talking about your hiring process, your staffing process, your staffing politics, your commercial politics. How are you going to communicate on your daycare once you open it? What are the situation of the competition back home? How many daycare exist in the area where you want to open your daycare? What is their price? Giving the market price, are you going to be able to be profitable? Do your forecasting, do your planning figures, project your revenue. Give yourself a set amount of children. Let's suppose you're planning to have 10 children in your daycare. How much is going to be the revenue? How much is going to be your expenditure in terms of staffing costs, in terms of utilities costs, in terms of maintenance costs? Are you going to rent a place to do it, or are you going to build a place to do it? Like, definitely you need to have a plan. You need to have a plan together with the costing, with the amount that you need. The third step will be, of course, to start by complying to the regulation. To open a daycare, you probably need to talk to the Department of Earlier Education in your country of origin. They will be able to tell you exactly what kind of document you need to gather to be able to get your permit and to get your license to open your daycare. They'll probably need to see, a place. They'll probably need to make sure that the place is safe for the children. They'll probably do multiple visits on the field to make sure that the place is ready. They'll probably need to know that you as well is an educated person. They'll probably want to know more about yourself, your resume, and many other documentation. Advantages being that you being a citizen from that country, you probably have your birth certificate again. You probably have some ID from that country that could probably ease the process. So don't hesitate to use them. But at the end of the day, the third process is to be able to comply with all the legal requirement to get the license for a daycare. Don't operate. I strongly not recommend operating unlawfully a daycare. That's not a good situation you want to have. The third thing, once you get your license, is to hire your staff. Again, you don't live back home. You'll be living probably abroad, so you would need to have people with who you work on a regular basis. I strongly recommend publishing, online, using free tools to open positions. You probably need, for a beginning, you probably need a daycare manager. You probably need at least 1 or 2 educational staff, or 1 educational staff and 1 security guard, depending on the area. If the area is very safe, maybe you probably don't need a security guard. But if the area is not safe, it's very safe, then you probably need a security guard. Go with the very minimum level of staff. Don't overwhelm your staffing cost. Start progressively. You may give yourself a ratio of 1 educational staff for 5 children. Every time you wish 5 children, then you hire someone new. Every time you wish 5 children, you hire someone new, and so on and so on. Staff as the business is growing. Don't bring 10 people on board and you have no children. You expect them. It may not work, right? You have to be very prudent. After the staffing costs, then you will be able to coordinate with your staff, having multiple meetings, having multiple call online, because they are going to be the person who will help you to start the communication and the marketing process. I highly recommend creating your social media pages. Facebook is one of the best. It allows targeting advertising. You may also want to use Instagram, all those TikToks and YouTube and everything, any resources, online resources you may use. Put a small amount of money, $100, $200, and prepare your visual as yourself, and then you may be able to boost them make sure you use a local phone number for your new staff to put as the contact number, because people will probably won't be able to call your foreign number, because again it costs money to call from back home, calling an international number. But if you put your staff, your local staff phone number, they will be able to call your local staff to get more inquiry about the pricing, about how it works, and blah blah blah. So again, the fourth step is to be able to start your communication, online communication using social media, but also physical communication. So your staff back home can also prepare, papers, visual papers, flyers, and then maybe they can start doing door by door, at least in the neighborhood where the daycare is located. Or they can also do all kind of, just sharing stuff on the road, on the main intersections, on the city, so to get people to know about your daycare. The next step will be for you to prepare a plan, like the activity program for the children. As I mentioned earlier, people don't bring their children just for them to sleep in your daycare. No, they want their children to learn something from your daycare. So having an educational program will even be a marketing argument for you to show to potential customer that their children will be learning something. So prepare a plan of activities for your daycare. On Monday, what are they going to do? What kind of educational activity are they going to do? How do that impact their growth? How do that positively impact their growth as a children? Are you going to be doing academic, alphabet reading? Are you going to be, coloring with the children? Are you going to be snapping? Are you going to be eating with them, showing them how to clean stuff, blah, blah, blah? So, but it's very important that we prepare an activity plan for the whole week, for the whole month, and then make it ready to show to any parent that may come over to visit your daycare, and communicate on that as well. And then the next step is to be ready to properly manage your daycare. What does it mean to be ready to properly manage your daycare? To be ready means to have procedures in place, local back home. Don't forget, you are not there. You want to be safe, the safest you can. What does that mean by that? I mean, people will be coming to your daycare. They will be giving money to your local staff for the admission. They will be paying fees for the registration of their children. How are you planning to collect those funds? You live abroad. How are you going to track those funds and make sure that all the funds collected are automatically transmitted to you? Are you going to open a local bank account? Maybe during the explanatory visit, you have talked about opening a local bank account and then having access online to make sure that every parent pays its fee. Once they pay, what's going to be the next process? Are the children going to wear a uniform? Who is going to be the tailor for that uniform? Are they going to be, how much are you going to pay for the rent every month? Do you have any utilities? So again, getting ready to manage your daycare is to be able to set in advance on a weekly, on a daily basis, the call every day with your staff, to talk to them, to plan stuff together, organize work, and then share workload to every staff so that everybody gets involved in the job. Make sure that you have the registration process, that you have the petty cash process, that you have the banking process. How are you going to manage your financial transactions? Maybe you may considering installing video camera to have access online on a distance basis and see what's going on back home. If that's not that very expensive, but at the end of the day, one step should be to be ready to manage your daycare on a day-to-day basis. Managing a daycare on a day-to-day basis, it means having a full control on the process of receiving a parent from the beginning, providing all the information when the parent comes in for queries, being able to register the child from the parent, being able to access and set up and start keeping taking care of the child, and then be able to report to those parents. That's why you may also want to do a monthly basic meeting with all the parents attending your daycare to make sure that you collect their complaint, you collect their feedback, you work on them, you communicate back to them on how you're improving. on how you are ameliorating the service you are offering to them. Don't forget, parents are your customer. Put in place all the politics that you need to know. Food policy. Are you going to provide the food to the children? Any parent need to bring their food with their children together. We are talking about babies, so you may need diapers. How are you going to change them? Are you going to provide diapers, or each parent need to bring their own diapers? You have staff. You have a minimum staff. You have to comply with the local law regarding the staffing and the salaries. How much are you going to pay them? How much are you going to manage them? Do they have any career plan with your daycare? Like, it doesn't have to be complicated, but it has to exist even at the very basic level. And then the last step will be to monitor your growth and to monitor your progression. Yes, you have done a plan, but it's very important to start at least once a month and see, hey, this month that is closing, how did I do? Ask yourself the question. Okay, it's fine. I'm just starting my daycare. There is no customer around. We are still communicating. We are in the loss. That's fine. But it's important to track your progress. Last month, I have spent how much in the communication? How many calls did I get from the advertisement? How many people came to the daycare to ask for the information and know more about our communication? How many registrations were we able to do? You may consider hiring a commercial associate, someone fully dedicated to really, with commercial targets, and then fighting to get customer for a beginning. Very, very important to start your first step. You need customer, otherwise you will give up very early, very, very early in the process. So those are the different steps that you may probably want to undergo. We are talking about, based on my personal experience, with 15,000-20,000 US dollar, you will be able to fully set a very good standard daycare back home, depending on where is your home country. But that's something to consider. Having your daycare, you're having impact back home. You'll be keeping people's children. Be careful. You may want to have an agreement with a local hospital, with a local clinic, so that when the children is sick, then you may have someone not far to come over and take care of the children before even waiting for their parent to come back home. You may want to have an agreement with a couple of hospitals around. You may want to have an agreement with a service provider, such as to make photocopies of documents for your advertisement. You may want to print stuff in bulk for your commercials. So all those, you may need agreement for that. So consider assigning the role to one of your staff to take care of all the providers. You may be provider for furniture, provider for electricity, provider for water, provider for diapers, provider for books and stuff. But someone has to take care of that, okay? So those are the different steps that I highly recommend you follow to open your daycare back home. It's not a very difficult business. It's really easy access business, and it's something that you can control on a distant basis, because the moment you know the number of children in the room, you can easily calculate your monthly income if you have the same price for all the children. Now, you may want to consider children more younger, 0 to 1 year. They are a bit more expensive to keep than the other children from 2 years to 3 years old. Maybe you may want to charge lesser because they are already independent in terms of hygiene. So you may want to have different pricing rate for a different group of children. That also, it's a marketing strategy that can help. But at the end of the day, the business is very, very accessible. You really need to just focus on it, work on it, use existing online tools to strengthen the process, prepare your plan. Don't just jump into it. You have to sit down and prepare your plan, write it down, and try to know exactly how much you're going to need for the whole process. Try to go step by step. Do everything, but don't do it at first at the bigger level. You can start at a very, very specific, very, very basic level. You will end up having 10 staff, but you don't need to start with 10 staff. Take 1 staff, 2 staff, start with them. As the business is growing, as the children are coming, then you may now increase the level of your business and go to the next level. Don't be discouraged. Starting can be very difficult, but at the end of the day, it's a very, very interesting. Once you see all those children happy in your daycare, and you know that you're the one making the difference. So good luck. Don't hesitate. Put your comment if you have any challenges. Come discuss with me. I will share my experience with you in more detail. Bye.